That's right on.
We'll turn that down.
Oh, I love that. Oh, there's rerun. The rerun shuffle, bro. Oh my God, that is.
Living, as it were, on many, many levels of rhythm. This is the nature of change. If you resist it, you have dukkha, you have frustration and suffering. But on the other hand, if you understand change, you don't cling to it, and you let it flow, then it's no problem. It becomes positively beautiful. So we are living, as it were, on many, many levels of rhythm. This is the nature of change. If you resist it, you have dukkha, you have frustration and suffering. But on the other hand, if you understand change, you don't cling to it, and you let it flow, then it's no problem. It becomes positively beautiful. we are living, as it were, on many, many levels of rhythm. This is the nature of change. If you resist it, you have dukkha, you have frustration and suffering. But on the other hand, if you understand change, you don't cling to it, and you let it flow, then it's no problem. It becomes positively beautiful.
And we are live. I'm here today, hopefully with Boom. I just see a screen link on the screen, Boom.
Yeah, we're gonna put that into. Hold on a second. Let's see. All right, default microphone.
Well, while you're doing that, I'm going to welcome everybody to episode number 35. Of course, today I have Mr. BoomstickXL on the podcast. And
yes,
of course, he is from Double Barrel Gaming, the YouTube channel right here, where he does various, you've got various podcasts. You do your vlog every week. You could see him 3 to 4 times a week with all this stuff, at least. Right, Boom? You're all over YouTube all the time. And you've got a great panel and stuff. And I think I got this. Hold on. Let me see if I have this right. You have Breakfast with Boom. You have Xbox Factor and the Primetime Gaming. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
and then you do
correct.
your vlog, right?
Yep.
Well, you know what? Now that we're into the show, I want to welcome everybody that's in the live chat, but also welcome those of you that could be listening after the fact on demand on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere there's podcasts to be streamed. You can listen to the show right there. But Boom, let everybody know about your million podcasts that you do a week.
Well, I mean, listen, first of all, I'm a big fan of the work that you do, not only on your own channel, but the positivity and the intelligence that you bring to RDX each and every week. I think you're a major addition over our dealer's channel.
I'm nobody.
No. Come on, listen. We have to call a spade here. The honesty and the integrity that comes out of the words that you put out there, you have to tip your cap to it. But for me, listen, Double Barrel Gaming everywhere. I do 3 live shows and a 4th vlog, which people have been asking for. And I'll say this: I got to give credit to a lot of people in the community that make these videos. Randall, Thor, Dealer, Gold Eastwood. The production that goes in behind the scenes is incredible. It's a lot of work, folks. You know, you put out a video that's 7 minutes or so, and you're doing 10 hours worth of production time on getting it right. And it's you know, that's why I don't do as many videos as that, because I prefer being live behind the behind the microphone. But yeah, listen, if you're finding me for the first time, because maybe you follow Fonz and you have never seen me, check me out on YouTube, Double Barrel Gaming, and of course on Twitter, my main space. You can get me at Mr. BoomstickXL.
Yeah, it's right there on the screen, Mr. BoomstickXL. And yeah, you know what? Tell everybody a bit about each of your podcasts, maybe your panel members, you know, that sort of thing. Like,
well, I mean, listen. One of the things that I promised myself, that if I was able to ever build my own empire of shows, was to pay it forward and introduce new voices to the community that you may have never heard of. And I do that with all the panel members are relatively young in the business. And I'm very proud to say that they've seen such incredible growth in their own channels, because like Mooch did for me many, many years ago on Crossfire, it gave me a platform, opened the door for me for people to actually learn who Mr. Boomstick was. And I promised myself that, paying it forward, that's what I would do for people like the Everborn Saga and Kay Asante and Pong Soul and Mav and an incredible mind that you would probably skip right over, VJ, who is on the Xbox Factor podcast. Boxenberger, who has exploded on the scene.
Awesome guy.
Not only his incredible knowledge, but he puts out videos that are as well done as someone like Colt Eastwood, and that's putting them up against a high mark. And I've had a lot of people come through that guested only once, that haven't become full-time panel members, and that's what I do, and it's such a privilege to be able to do that.
Really is.
But yeah, that's the 3 shows. Primetime Gaming, Monday evenings, 7 p.m. You got the Xbox Factor podcast, which is an Xbox-centric, where positivity reigns supreme, on Tuesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then to start your weekend off, we go 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for Breakfast with Boom, and that's a multi-plat show, just like Primetime Gaming.
Yeah. Now, exactly, what was I going to say? I got distracted. Somebody in the chat was saying something. It could have been negative towards you and I, but if that's so, somebody can take care of that for sure. Here's the thing. I've always enjoyed your content, what you've done. And one thing I will say is that, I'm glad you pointed something out as well, because a lot of people out there, that make these videos and put in a lot of time, like Colt, like Dealer, that kind of stuff is very, very hard to do and very time consuming. And I know you used to do stuff like that as well. You used to make more videos like that. So the hard work
yes,
that goes into that. That's something that cannot be said. I myself try to do that sort of thing when I can. I haven't made a video in a few weeks now, and it sucks. But one thing somebody told me a long time ago was, if you can't make a video, if I don't have the time, at least try to get on even live and talk about your opinions with people. And that's what got me wanting to do these podcasts. And then more and more, when I was seeing what the Iron Lords were doing, and they were talking to me about the, going on camera and things like that, it made you look at it from a different perspective and go, hey, this can be done in another way. We don't have to sit there and create, these big explosive videos. They're amazing, they're awesome, and I love to do that sort of thing because I do like the process. But it's I would say this, it's good enough for a lot of people out there to just hear our opinions, and that's what a lot of people want to do from us. And by the way, Boom, I just want to say your mic, I don't know if it's working or if it's your audio is coming from your computer or not.
Yeah, do you hear me now?
I hear you, but it's like, it sounds like it's not going through the mic. I don't know if people hear that, but
let me check.
And basically what I'm saying is I give props to those guys who really sit there and put in that time to edit those videos and stuff, because man, that's crazy stuff. How do
I sound now?
It's still kind of like distant, like you're coming from the computer. I don't know. Does anybody in the chat hear the same thing? I don't know. While you're trying to get that sorted out, I will say what's up to the chat. Boba Fett Gaming's in the chat. Jigga J. We got Craig, Mr. Joanna Dark, Stu. Toast is more interesting than Aloy. Interesting name there, but I actually like Aloy's character. She's all right. Ashtree Gaming is in the chat. Lord Metroid, Toolman 55. Got a great bunch of people here. Eternal Umbra, my brother, thank you for showing up. And again, we've got Lars Peterson that might be a hater, but okay. Look, I respect opinions, folks, but at the end of the day, everybody has their own opinions. Take it as you will. They are just opinions. There's no reason to get mad or upset over an opinion over video games. because that's what we're talking about. It's pretty trivial stuff here. Yeah, it's a hobby that we all love and we're passionate about it, but at the end of the day, it's just video games. Calm down, relax, enjoy the show. Hargeet, my boy with the super chat, he says, "Hey Fonz and Boom, subbed in for you for on Go Live, bro. Yeah, that's right. I couldn't make it on Go Live yesterday on GameOnDaily.com. I totally just forgot about the podcast. We were talking about it last week, me and Gaz, and then a whole week went by. There was no talk of it the whole week, and it totally slipped my mind. I went out shopping with the wife, and while I was out, I see the shows on, and they're like looking for me, and I'm like, oh man, I feel so bad. But Hargeet, you did a fantastic job, brother." He says, "Poor ponies can't catch a break. A measly 88 meta for Horizon. Hashtag Sony bugs don't factor in reviews." Yeah, we're going to talk about that today when we get into Horizon Forbidden West, because we will be delving into that topic, because I think it's a pretty big one. But before we do that, Boom, is your mic doing good?
Let me know if it sounds any better.
Still echoing. Still echoing,
Yeah,
but we can hear you.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we can still hear you, Boom. Say something again.
Testing 1 2.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little echoey, but we can hear you. I think we can. It's a little bit better. People are saying so.
Yeah, it's weird because
there you go. You sound good now.
Okay,
you sound better.
Excellent. I just had to okay. So here we go. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. It's weird. My settings got changed when the show went live.
Okay. Well, you sound better now, Boom. And there's something that I like to do here on this show, and we're going to get into that right now. To kick off the show, Boom, welcome to your first 5 questions. Boom. So I got the index cards, 5 questions. I'm old school with it, index cards. I could put stuff on the screen or whatever, but no, I like these. I like to throw these around when I'm done.
Paper in hand, man. That's what I'm talking about.
Tactile. It's, that feeling you get when you touch something. Like, it's on a different level, people. And plus, I got to keep up with their handwriting, because that's a lost art form, it seems, nowadays. People don't write anymore. They type. And, we can get into being old here, Boom, but we got to get into the 5 questions.
And we are old.
Yes, we are. We go way back. And anyways, Boom, let's get on to the very first question here. Let's hit some mood music up. All right, Boom, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Name the protagonist in Assassin's Creed Origins. The protagonist.
Oh, holy moly. I put a couple of days into that game, and I have actually no idea, to be honest with you. I literally have no idea.
Oh, no idea?
No idea.
All right. It was Bayek. And he was a great protagonist, by the way.
He absolutely was.
At the end of Horizon Zero Dawn, what did we find out about the main character, Aloy? This is a spoiler, people. If you don't want to hear what happens at the end of Zero Dawn, don't listen. But what do we find out about her?
Oh, man. Well, I hope I got this right, because if not, I'm going to feel like a fool, because she's one of my favorite new IPs. You find out that she is a clone.
Correct, sir. She's a clone.
That is right.
All right, here's a question that goes back to 1980.
Oh, here we go.
Japanese game designer Toru Iwatani was having a slice of pizza when he looked down at the remainder of the pizza and realized it looked like it was in the shape of a mouth. The missing piece looked like it was in the shape of a mouth. He would then go on to model this character after the pizza. What character is this? Pac-Man, correct, sir.
That is, yes, 80s, yes.
All right. Before Halo, Bungie had created a few games, both on Mac OS and Windows operating systems. But can you name the action beat-em-up game that was also released on the PS2 right before Halo.
Holy cow. I bet you I played this game too. A side-scrolling beat 'em up, huh?
Not a side scroll, 3D beat 'em up.
Whew. Well, you said on the PlayStation 2, huh?
Yeah, it released on the PlayStation 2 as well as the other operating systems, Mac, PC.
And it was by Bungie.
Yep.
It's on the tip of my tongue, and I bet you when you say it, I'm like, gosh, how did I miss that? I cannot remember.
It was Oni. Oni.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Right.
And you know what? It was a game that it did. If you look back at review scores, it didn't review well, but it was it had a cult following. A lot of people really loved Oni. So
yes.
Boom. Favorite gaming experience of all time.
Favorite gaming experience of all time. Yeah, I mean, there literally are so many. But the one that I have to go to is when Resident Evil 1 released on the PlayStation. And I bring that up because my brother and my brother Neo Mental, had a bunch of friends over. Like, this was so old school.
Yeah.
Where we were all huddled in a room. In the one room on the 136-inch Sears TV that we had.
Oh, there we go.
The tube TVs that weighed about 2 tons. You need like 3 people to move it.
Oh, yeah.
Not like these TVs that are thin as glass. And we the lights were out. The one screen is on. Audio was way up. And the dogs break through the glass. And we all fell back. We all fell back and we just couldn't stop laughing. Because remember, there was no wireless back then.
No.
The remote got pulled right out of the front of the PS1. We all fell back. We got killed by the dogs because we couldn't control it. It just was a laugh riot that happened, that we got so startled by the dogs jumping through the glass in that hallway. That's probably one of my most favorite and most memorable.
Well, you know what, sir? I like that answer. You did well today, Boom. You missed a couple, but you know what? It's okay. It's okay. We had fun playing the game, didn't we? That's all that matters.
Sir. Yes, we did. That's right.
Now, Boom, you and I go way back. I mean, we have a very similar, I think, background when it comes to gaming. We both started since its inception, pretty much, and, especially for home consoles and all that. But yeah, even before that, you had arcades, you had pinballs, you had all kinds of different. We just grew up in an era where people just don't understand how great it was. And you could say all you want, oh yeah, but the technology today and everything is great. Yes, it's fantastic. We've got these devices in our hands that do everything. But it was just a simpler time, much better time, in my opinion. Tell us where it all started for you. Go back to Baby Boom for a minute.
Oh man. Well, look, my upbringing is just under blue, as blue collar as they can get, right? Dad worked, he was a construction worker, worked with his hands. He was a taper, he did sheetrocking, right? No one better than him. Mom stayed home, took care of the kids, me and my brother. 1978, my father, again, he's one salary's coming in back in those days. Still in the 70s, it's hard times for families. Mom, dad, 2 kids. He came home with the Atari 2600 in his hand because we had gone over to a work friends of his house and we were playing. Remember the system called the Odyssey?
Yeah.
I mean,
Magnavox. Magnavox. Yep.
Yes. And
we're old people.
We are very old, but I was so enthralled by it that he saw it. And my father didn't make a lot of money. He made good money. He was a construction worker. He hustled. I worked, 6 days a week. But he brought home the Atari 2600, and I look back at why he did it. Besides wanting to have something for the kids, I think secretly he loved it because he used to play it just as much as we did. And he used to sit there with us. And the first game that I played with him was Combat. That came with, which is in my intro to my videos, by the way. Combat. Yes, the 2 tanks. It was a pack-in. Yep, a pack-in game, and just was as simplistic as you could possibly imagine. You just moved it with the one stick joystick that had one button. You
Yep.
press the button to fire. It moved worse than Resident Evil at its worst. And
Yep.
I remember playing for hours with him. He brought home Pac-Man, which here's a little trick that a lot of people didn't know. Everything was like, Pac-Man wasn't color. Pac-Man was just like, one palette. If you shut the TV and you fine tune the color, my father used to kill us because the color would always be off. You could make the ghosts the same, to make color. Like the ghosts would have color.
Yeah.
So it's like an Easter egg that no one really knew about. And he brought home that, and he brought home Missile Command. That, dude, it's that from that moment forward, in the Americas, I have never missed a console in the history of gaming.
Now,
I've owned everything.
I have owned almost everything, but there were several that I did miss, or did I? Probably I intentionally missed some because I didn't care for the consoles. But I pretty much played everything except for because friends and everything, except for the Philips CDI. I never played it.
Yeah, that had the worst Link game in the history.
Yes, it did. It had a horrible Link game. I remember going through the magazines back in the day, Game Pro, Nintendo Power, all that stuff. You'd read about all these games, and that's where you'd read, this is the worst Zelda game ever. Philips CDI had the worst one. What was your favorite console of all time? If you had to pick one.
Man, if I had to take the one under the arm and take my ball and go home, it's Dreamcast all day long. My man. Yes, Dreamcast. That's mine as well.
Sega
Dreamcast was so ahead of its time.
Oh, God.
It was Sega at their absolute finest. They had, because I was a big import guy, especially for the Dreamcast. I remember, here's a funny story, Fonz. When I was a rookie, you go into any new job and they tell you, hey, listen, you got to save for your future, kid, right? So I got into bonds. Like, what do I know about bonds? I'm like, I'll take 2 a month, take it out of the paycheck. They used to come. I didn't even open them. I used to put them in the drawer. And when the Dreamcast was coming out, there was an import shop out of South Carolina. I don't even remember the name of it. And they had the Dreamcast, an extra controller, a memory card, and the 4 launch games, one of which was Japanese text. It was a complete throwaway because you couldn't play it. Godzilla, Pen Triicelon, and Virtual Fighter. And the whole package was $1,500. And I went and I was like, man, where am I going to get this money? And I went and I cashed in every bond I had, dude, and I bought this system. And it was, I still have my Dreamcast. I have both the Japanese and the American, and I have 86 games.
Wow.
Yeah, my favorite console of all time, dude. Especially if you're a Capcom and SNK fan. Love letter to those to those hand-drawn beat 'em ups.
Yeah. But yeah, for me, it was the Dreamcast as well. Got a super chat here. Got a couple of them I want to read here. Papa Bako or Boko 72. I'm not sure how you say that. Papa Boko 72, I assume. Just a shout out to one of my fave, Mr. Fonz. Thank you very much, man. And again, apologize for that if I messed up your name. And Splendiferous. Yes, I jumped in a party chat with this guy and a bunch of other guys a couple of weeks back. Man, Splendiferous, boom, he kicked me out of the party. He didn't want me there, but now he's here spending money, so I guess I'll let him stay. You guys say you're old. Do you remember the Vectrex? Yes.
I got news for you there, brother. I still own it with 12 games.
See, there you go. Boom owns it. Of course, let's go ahead and get into our very first topic here, Boom. EA. According to a report, EA Chief Studios Officer Laura Miele blamed the COVID-19 pandemic and Halo Infinite, of all things, boom, as to why Battlefield 2042 failed. Your thoughts on this, Boom? What is this?
Look, I read the story. I've read it from numerous publications. I read her direct quote several times. When I read it, I found it to be hilarious, and I say that because this is a person that is supposed to be that holds a very high position within EA, and blaming someone else for the failings of your product is juvenile at best. And to, when you read it and it says, you read the quote that that Microsoft shadow dropped Halo and it was so polished, it took us by surprise. And I say to myself, well, if you read a lot of what the community was saying about Battlefield 2042 before it launched, the biggest thing was you should delay this because it's not good. And EA, being who EA is, released it with the hope of, well, we would just go out and buy it, take it, and continue to support it. I don't know how you can turn around and say, whether that be in a what you say publicly or you say during an investors meeting, that we were taken by surprise by how polished the Halo was. Well, Halo was delayed a year and they lost millions, if not $1 billion on that deal. Remember, Fonz, after they delayed it, we still saw Doritos, Taco Bell stuff with it. So Microsoft took a big wash on that, but that's because they wanted the product to be right. And that's what EA should have done. That's what DICE should have done with this with Battlefield, because it's still to this day an absolute mess.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's just funny to me how EA's just not owning up to its faults themselves with the game. I mean, they're saying, it wasn't as polished as Halo Infinite, but at the same time, it's like you don't point to another game and say, well, it's not fair. Their game is polished. Why don't you polish your game? Polish your damn game. Fix your damn game before you release it. Delay it if you have to. You didn't have to put it out when you did. I mean, honestly, it's kind of like the Cyberpunk effect. Cyberpunk got put out there and it was in bad shape, especially with the older consoles. And when they released that, you see how much hell they got? And rightfully so, they deserved it, every bit of it, especially when they lied, considering about, how it ran good on the old consoles. But I have to say, at least, they ended up getting it right a year later. But anyway, they need to hold off and like Cyberpunk should have done, CD Projekt Red, they should have held off because, their game was not ready. Obviously, it was not ready for prime time. I just think it's hilarious that they blamed another game for being more polished. That's got to be the most asinine quote I've ever heard any executive say about a game. Blaming another game for being more polished as the reason to why your game failed. No, your game failed because you guys failed that game. Period. You guys could have had that game buttoned up and ready to go on time, but you didn't. And if you needed more time, make more time, because I'll gladly wait for a game. Boom. If the developers come to, put it out there and say, our game needs more time, as a consumer, I'm good with that. I'm fine with delays. As long as it fixes things, I'm good. There's nothing wrong with a delay. Maybe their investors have other ideas. Maybe they're upset over it, but I'm not an investor. I'm a consumer, and I'm looking at it from that standpoint. But I just thought it was a little funny that she did that. Anything else you want to say on this?
No, I just say that it's a shame because we as a community, were reeling at the fact that they were bringing Battlefield back to modern times. And, coming off of Battlefield 1 and then Battlefield 5, staying in that era, those games launched with problems, and they promised us as fans of the brand, who, if you ask me what I would take first, give me a online Battlefield or Call of Duty, I'm gonna take Battlefield all day long. And I'm glad that I was one of those people that pulled back and didn't and canceled my pre-order, because I was going for the big $100 edition, and I would have been pretty pissed if I would have brought home that. And I'm still, like I said, it could be $10 now and I wouldn't pick it up.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't pick it up either, and I'm a Battlefield fan. I like the games, but yeah, I wasn't going to get this one because of all of its issues. I played the demo and I didn't get captivated by it at all. And plus all the bugs that were within that, it kind of shed light on a lot of the stuff you were about to get when that game dropped. And yeah, I backed out. I was going to buy it, but nah, I backed out of that. Risk It for the Biscuit says not giving the devs enough time was the main issue and they didn't acknowledge it. Halo was always going to affect Battlefield and COD. If they released Battlefield in a polished state, it would have still been successful. You're 100% right.
Yep.
I agree with you. Thank you for that, Risk It. Yeah, 100% right. And that's what it's about, accountability. And that's what, if as a developer, I won't even say developer because it's not the devs that come out and say this. This is the publisher speaking. This is the chief executive at EA saying, you know what, blaming other games about this rather than blaming themselves. It's all about accountability. Obviously, there is none there with this EA, with the publisher EA, and that's sad. It's not surprising though, Boom. It's really not, because I've always thought of EA as being the devil anyway when it comes to publishing. But it is what it is, man. Moving on, though, let's go ahead and get to another topic here. We're going to be talking about Horizon Forbidden West, sir.
Yes.
Now, Horizon Forbidden West, this is a game, of course, that you and I have been playing, and we've been talking behind the scenes in the green room about it. You know, what we like and some things that we're not liking what we're seeing so far in certain areas. And you know what? I'll let you go ahead and handle what you feel about that. Actually, no, before we get into what we like and what we don't like about the game, let's get into this topic first, because I think we can quickly go through this. Now, so many people have been bringing this up, and mainly it's fanboys, Sony fanboys. It's funny when people like to call me a fanboy, an Xbox fanboy. Or you even, Boom.
Yes.
But we're not the ones crying about things like this because it really doesn't affect us like it would a fanboy.
Yes,
and
correct.
I'm sorry, but the meltdowns that I've seen on Twitter have been hysterical. People are upset because this game initially was targeted at an 89. It was underneath a 90. Now it's an 88, okay, on Metacritic. Metacritic is inherently flawed anyway, in my opinion. I don't like the scoring system there at Metacritic because you can't really put a 5-point scoring system that many outlets have into a 100-point scale. It just doesn't work right. It's not one-to-one. It's not correct. But that aside, who cares? These are all opinions. I love it when I see these reviewers are biased. No shit. Excuse my language. Of course reviewers are biased. That's the point. You know, everybody has their own opinion on games. Some reviewers may not even like the genre, but they still review a game. You have to take that into consideration. Oh well, it happens. A lot of people are pointing at this Stevivor.com as being a huge culprit in this situation for it getting an 88. Boom. They're saying that Stevivor is biased towards Xbox, and they're just Xbox fanboys. And I found this funny because here we'll go over this here. This is from a guy, a disgruntled fanboy, obviously. His name is Grateful Dave 93. I have no problem putting his name out there. He put it out there himself. He says, meanwhile, Stevivor, Halo Infinite 9.5, The Medium 7.5, on par with Bloodborne apparently. Forza Horizon 5, 10 out of 10. Back for Blood, 8.5. Flight Simulator, 9.5. Cyberpunk, 9.5. Yikes. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, 9. Another yikes. Gears 5, a 9. So he's mad over these scores because most of these games, anyway, are Xbox games. But when you look at this, what do you see? Like, what do you see with these scores in these games here that he's listed? Like, what jumps out at you when you see a post like this?
Well, I mean, obviously, he's trying to paint a picture that fits a narrative that he's trying to present to the community.
Yeah.
I have zero problems with any of these because my brother, Neo Mental, if you asked him, Cyberpunk would be a 10. He beat it 4 times before the patch, and he's playing it again on PC and on the PlayStation 5.
I gave it an
So
8.5, so I really enjoyed it.
yeah, a lot of people did. I gave Halo Infinite a 10. Is it a
I-
perfect game? No, but it's a 10 to me because they delivered on single player and multiplayer. The medium, 7.5, that's about right. I might give it a 7, but I think 7.5 is fair. Forza Horizon 5, a 10. What's wrong with that? It's the best driving game ever in history. Back for Blood, well, I mean, listen, he might be the person that reviewed it, because it's all different people that reviewed at
Survivor, yeah.
Survivor.
Yeah.
Maybe they're Left 4 Dead fans, and it scratched that itch that they gave it an 8.5. I think 8.5 is a fine score. Flight Simulator 9.5. I see nothing wrong with that. That game is, for a lot of people, amazing.
Yep.
Gears 5. Yeah, that game's a 9. Sorry if you don't feel that way. Maybe it's too much Gears for you. And Assassin's Creed Valhalla, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a huge AC fan. Did not dig Valhalla at all. But is the game broken? Is the game unplayable? Is it, does it deserve a 7 over a 9? I guess it's the eye of the beholder. But I think what you've seen, Fonz, is a lot of people on the socials that are trying to paint a picture that best suits their own personal narrative, and that's a problem. Now, Survivor, again, am I a reader of their stuff? No, I'm not. But I don't think it's their one review that has doomed Horizon. We're going to get into Horizon too, because I got a few things to say. And if anyone, listen, folks, FYI,
Yep.
If you want to put me on a pedestal here, or actually put me on the stand and be like, you're an Xbox guy. Well, I'm not going to say that I don't choose Xbox over PlayStation if given the opportunity. But if anyone has been a rah-rah guy for Aloy, for Guerrilla Games, and Horizon, it's been this dude. Even going all the way back to the days on Crossfire, where they used to break my balls. Oh, why do you like that game so much? Because the game, I love Aloy. I think she's an amazing character.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? But here's what's funny. Survivor, well, they clapped back. And they wrote to the guy. They said, hey, Grateful Dave, your point. Horizon Forbidden West, they gave they meant Horizon Zero Dawn DLC. They gave it a 9.
Right.
Spider-Man, 9.5. Wow. Why? I personally gave that, the first Spider-Man anyway, I liked it, but it wasn't fantastic to me. I liked Miles Morales better, honestly. It was short, but I liked it better. I liked the mechanics, the combat better. But I wouldn't have given it a 9.5. Why? Spider-Man Miles Morales, they give it a 9.5. Well, I can't argue with that. Deathloop, 8.5. Game of the Year as well for 2021 for Survivor. Rift Apart, a 9. God of War was their Game of the Year in 2018. I think they meant to say, whoever is running the Survivor Twitter account needs to fix this stuff. But anyway, they need to get their facts in order. But it was 2018 when God of War dropped. Yeah. Sea of Thieves, they only gave a 4. How could they? They are Xbox fanboys, guys. How could they? Battletoads, a 5.5. Now, my whole point in even talking about all this is that when I saw the first, when we look at what Mr. Grateful Dave has to say here, when I look at this, all I see here is just a bunch of opinions from different people at Survivor. Because when you look at who is doing this, who is doing all the reviews for these games, it's not the same person.
No.
They're all different here, people. It's opinions. What are we doing complaining about opinions? It's so crazy to me that people really are up in arms over just the dumbest things. And, an 88 is a fantastic score for a game. There's nothing wrong with an 88, people. Nothing. So, I don't get it.
You know what? The only thing I could say, Fonz, to that is I think why people are the fanboys, not average gamers, are in their feelings, as the kids are saying. is that they can't go and they can't get on their podiums and say another 9 on Metacritic for Team PlayStation.
Yeah.
I guess maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just really dumb, in my opinion. People just, respect opinions. That's all it's about. These are opinions on games, on different games. We all like different things, different genres. At the end of the day, who cares? Who cares? If you like the game, you like the game. If you don't, you don't. It's fine. If somebody else does, there's no reason to get upset over things like this. Again, it's trivial. It's really dumb. Let's go ahead and get into some Horizon talk. Now, you and I have both been playing Horizon Forbidden West, and I think so far, I'm only about an hour and 20 minutes in. I'm not that far in at all, so I haven't experienced too much, because I'm hearing that there are bugs in the game. Haven't experienced really too much, except the one thing that you brought up, and we will get into that. But so far, I'm enjoying the game. So far, I'm really enjoying the game. I think it's beautiful. I think it's fun. Fighting the Robo Dinos is a really fun time so far. But I'll let you take the floor here, Boom. How are you enjoying the game?
I'm quite enjoying it. I'm a little bit more than 5 hours. I'd say closer to maybe 6 hours in. I've completed the opening aspect of the game where now the world has been open to me. Now it's my choice and where I want to go. And rather than continue the actual story of the of it, you were going to get it. You were going to grab onto the ledge. And one of the things that continues to, I keep finding that's a bit frustrating, especially when you die and you have to start all over again, is the I'm not making the jumps and I'm not grabbing on to the ledges like I'm supposed to. And I thought at first maybe it's me. And you'll see, I actually recorded about 2.5 hours worth of footage for the opening for tomorrow night's primetime gaming. And you're going to see there are some parts where I miss a jump 6 and 7 times. And I'm like, man, someone's going to record this and say this guy is like that journalist from Cuphead. He can't freaking make the jump.
Exactly.
And I thought it was me. And then I started seeing people talk about it. And there was a couple of times where I was climbing up to the top of these towers that I have no use for right now. And my character would jump off to her death. And I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah, I will agree with that. Okay, so this is footage. No spoilers here, guys. I'm just fighting these little robo dinos here. And I suck, but whatever. That's besides the point. I'm having the same issue with the jumping and grappling mechanics. I am baffled by the grappling hook in this game. The way they chose to use this grapple hook in this game is just odd, because there's some areas where you can easily see, okay, I could use the grapple hook here and I could pull something off and it works fine and it's great. Or I could use it to grab onto this, but other markers, you can't use it on. And it's just like, to me, they should have let you use it within all the aspects of climbing. Like if I have something to jump across to, and I keep falling to my death because I can barely reach it. You can reach it, but if you just take a misstep or something and you fall to your death, you're wondering, why can't I hit X and use that grapple just to grapple onto it so I don't die? But no, they don't let you do that. Sony was like, no, or Guerrilla Games was like, no, we're not going to let you do that. You can only use the grapple hook when we want you to use the grapple hook. And it's, I don't know if that would have broke something in other mechanics or whatever. Maybe you get to different points you shouldn't have gotten to because you're using that grapple hook instead of, the jump. I don't know, but it's frustrating because there are areas where, again, that tower in the very beginning of the game, there's a point where you're supposed to jump across to the thing. I died a couple of times on that thing because I missed the jump. I missed the thing you're supposed to grab onto. It just didn't work, and I fell to my death a couple of times. I'm like, wait, why does it even have to be that difficult? Like this should be something really simple, but it wasn't. It's a little clunky, I would say, with the mechanics, with the climbing and jumping. So, I mean, you would agree with that.
100%. I think this is something that could be addressed through a patch. I'm sure that they're evaluating what people are saying on social media. I honestly, I really wish, because the community can be so petty sometimes. If they would have put out there, hey, listen, go to this website to give us, your feedback. I think people would have abused it. You would saw a lot of negative, harsh grossness, which is what the interwebs can be sometimes.
Yeah.
But I hope they address it.
But that, therein lies the problem, right? If they're looking for people to complain about it, the reviews aren't really complaining about this stuff. Matter of fact, they're mostly glowing. So I'm not really seeing anybody talking about these issues with climbing or using the grapple hook, the mechanic being, just odd, Most games where we have a grapple hook, it just works. Everywhere. I mean, Halo Infinite has a grapple hook, and it was fun as hell. Like, that's, one of my favorite grappling hooks in any game, really.
It makes anything attainable. Like, you literally can go anywhere, even up a mountain or if you can't actually climb it, but you're actually just grappling up it. Yeah, I agree with you. I think you're onto something with that, Fonz, because have been many points where there's a specific one little point for grappling, and if you don't hit it, that's the other thing that seems a little bit off. You have to double press X twice. You got to jump, you got to hit it, you got to hit X immediately, and you got to be facing almost identical to it. Otherwise, you'll shoot the grappling hook and it misses its mark, and you fall to your death.
By the way, Albert G says, I've seen multiple people play this. Sorry, can't even read. And none of the stuff y'all are talking about is seen happen. I'm sure
then you need to play the game, dude, because why would we come up here and lie? That's ridiculous.
I have no reason to lie about Albert. I've seen you in the RDX chat. You've been here before. I love Sony exclusives. I love their games. Zero Dawn is a great game. I have no issues there with the mechanics of the game, really. I had a blast. I'm just saying here with the climbing and the little dots, the little X's that you got to jump to and stuff, sometimes they seem like they're almost impossible, even though you're jumping right at them and you're falling to your death. It happens. Maybe it's old age. Maybe it's just us, Boom. You and I are the only ones that can't do it sometimes. Maybe he is right.
It's certainly possible, but look, one of the things that you've seen social media. Some people have been putting out stuff that is simply, hey, listen, Horizon bricked my console. I saw this female's post. I felt really bad for her. All right, she has PS5. Apparently, she tried loading the game from the, I guess, rest mode screen, and it bricked her box.
No.
So what she had to do is she had to reset the box, but not only did she lose 10 hours worth of Horizon play, she lost all of her saves.
Yeah.
So she lost
That's unfortunate. I think that may be like, just bad luck. Some people it happens to. but I've been using that rest mode lately with the game. I'm going to stop because I don't want that to happen to me. You know, I was scared to use rest mode up until now. I started using it because I was like, you know, I haven't heard anybody really complain about rest mode anymore. And I thought maybe those were, you know, things of the past for Sony. But, yeah.
Yeah.
I
pay for PlayStation Plus, so my cloud, I have all my saves to the cloud. So if something like that were to happen, I'd be able to jump back into the game because I have the cloud saves. Folks, FYI, you got to pay for that. They don't automatically save. You don't have PlayStation Plus.
Yeah,
you have no cloud saves.
Now, I want to ask, because there's several people in the chat that are stating things like, well, I'm 10 hours in plus, and I'm not having these issues you guys are having. The main issue I'm having really is with the grapple hook. I just don't like the mechanic of the grapple hook very much. I feel like you should be able to use it more often than it allows you to. And, you know, and that's all I'm saying really on that. Like, you got to understand, like, you could say, you know, you're not missing your jumps. Maybe you're perfect at every game. I don't know. But when it comes to that grapple hook, there just seems like there's times where it'd be easier to use a grapple hook than trying to jump to a location. And it doesn't work there. And sometimes it seems like the grapple hook, you can't throw it out very far to pull something. And then other times you can throw it out really far because it allows you to at that moment. And it just doesn't make sense there. I don't know. It's not something that I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be more intuitive, more allow you to use it more often. That's what I thought it was going to be. More in line with like any other grapple hook in a game that you can use all the time. Halo Infinite again, and I hate to just bring up Halo Infinite. Doom, that grapple hook as well. It just seems odd. AB72. Thank you, brother. He says Halo Infinite spoiled you for the grapple hook. I think it really did. I think it really did. They did it perfect. They really did. I don't know. Something about that grapple hook was just amazing. Space Devoclin with Super Chat says, Horizon Forbidden West looks very restrictive for an open world game. At the very beginning, it kind of is. It opens up into an open world, but at first, it's more linear. Like that first hour or so, you are kind of boxed in. But after you get past that, I'm hearing it's you know, go where you want, free roam, and you know, I barely got into that town. So I played an hour and 20 minutes, not much, but already I felt that grapple hook. You know, that it just wasn't what I wanted. I don't know. It's a nitpick though. Have you seen any real bugs in the game, like? Aside from
for me personally, no. Like I said, one of the things. I mean, I'll say this: I've noticed a little jank in the movements with Aloy. I'm not saying I've seen people post slow down. I've seen people walk into walls. I've seen people talking with other characters with huge heads, kind of like the Assassin's Creed, the Revolution one, where everyone's faces were like scary. I've seen a whole bunch of that stuff. Now, is any of this purposely done? I don't think so, because the video is playing. For me, like I said, the one of the frustrating things is the box in where the invisible box that you and I can see that's there, that developers put in there for your character to grab onto. There's something wrong. There's something wrong with it. If you're going to turn around and tell me that I'm a hater because I'm having issues of falling off cliffs when I should be grabbing onto things, and I don't know what to tell you. I've been the biggest proponent for this game, and if you say otherwise, then all you have to do is go back and look at the content. Horizon Zero Dawn is one of my favorite new IPs. I
like it as well. So I have no problem with, you know, stating what I like and don't like about it. So far, it's beautiful. It's one of the most gorgeous.
Decima Engine is running at full at what you would expect the Decima Engine to do. It game looks gorgeous,
and the combat is fun. The combat is it's Zero Dawn all over again. Really, it's really good. I have not fought against any humans in the game yet, but I heard that was reworked, and I can't wait to do that, because that was one of the low points, I think, in Zero Dawn, where I had an issue. I thought that fighting against humans was boring. It wasn't that great. The AI sucked as well. But the dynos, the robo dynos, those were really cool, and that's still there. And I love fighting those and finding out what their weaknesses are and everything. That stuff is awesome. So I was playing right up until this show, guys. Like I'm ready to really dive in. This week it's all about Horizon Forbidden West for me. I took vacation for this, so
Nice.
I'm off for a week to play this game. So if you're going to call me a hater because I took vacation for this, because I said the grapple hook isn't as exciting as I wanted it to be, well, you know what? It's just an opinion, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Get over it. It's an opinion. It's not as good as I wanted it to be. That's all. Evan Dalton says, thank you very much for the super chat. 16 hours in, had a frame rate bug that I had to reset. Movement is a bit janky. The world, though, is absolutely stunning. The story just grabbed me. See, that's awesome to hear. This guy obviously likes the game, but at the same time, he's telling you, he's seen a couple of bugs, and, it's not a big deal. I don't know why. That's the one thing I don't understand, Boom, is how some people out there want to justify their own experiences for everybody else and say, I haven't had anything, so there couldn't possibly be an issue. I love those comments because I don't love them. I loathe them, but I just don't understand why people act like that. It's so weird.
It's just, you're peeing on their parade, so to speak. No one's allowed to have a different opinion, which I find to be ridiculous. Honestly, I think that, I think we immediately started with the conversation, Fonz, is that we are really enjoying the game.
Yeah, it's
the
great.
fact that you may or may not have had the same experience as me doesn't make my breakdown any less important. If you don't want to hear
Facts.
it, well, you can change to the channel. I don't know what to tell you, but I'm not going to come up here and I'm not going to pander for anyone or any brand. If the game is a problem, the game is going to be a problem. Now, is it a major problem for me? No, I'm quite enjoying it. But like I said, a patch needs to happen because the hitbox, so to speak, of where you grab there's something wrong there.
Yeah. And I felt it, on that tower, at least I did feel it at one point in there. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There was one point where I died a couple of times and I was like, maybe you guys hit the hitbox right away the first time and got lucky. That's fine. But I'm telling you that there was an issue where I jumped and I couldn't grab onto it. And I even tried to use the grapple. The grapple wouldn't work. And I was like, well, what is this? Like, why even have a grapple if you can't use it at that point? Mm-hmm. But whatever. Again, for me, it was just that point in the game. I don't know how many others you felt, Boom, but for me, I did feel that. But yeah, it is what it is. It's just an opinion, folks. We're both enjoying the game. Boom. How many hours are you in right now?
About 5 or 6, give or take.
And you can't wait to finish the game and play it through. I'm probably going to put at least 50 hours into the game. I'm doing all the side missions for sure. I love open world games, and I can sit there and play them back to back. And speaking of open world games, Boom, Cyberpunk, CDPR put out a patch 1.5, and I have that here. These are the patch notes for the new generation consoles. This is for the PS5 and, of course, Xbox Series consoles, as well as the PC. It does show some of the older generation consoles, but they didn't really get a lot of the good stuff here. And, of course, we've got new weapons, additional apartments. We've got hairdressing mirror because everybody loves to play dress up. I know I do in these games. So that's good because sometimes you might put yourself with a weird haircut at the beginning, and then once you start playing, you're like, I don't really like this cut. I wish I could change it. Now you can. You have rebalancing of the gameplay, economy, and loot systems, which I haven't really noticed yet because I haven't really gone far into the patch. I beat the game originally when it came out, and I loved it. But I am going back to it to check out all this stuff. You've got ray tracing. You've got various visual quality improvements, spatial headphone audio, improved crowd reactions. And this is something I really did notice. The crowd is much improved on these new consoles. Boom. There used to be a time where I would, let's say I would be out in the crowd and I'd walk past several people. one being a child, maybe one adult, one child. They'd walk past me. I'd turn around. They would either disappear or it would be two grown-ups and the child was gone. They would just change. And it was like there was something there where it couldn't hold the memory or something. I don't know. Apparently it was a limitation to the old consoles. And honestly, this game should have never even been applied to those old consoles because it held a lot back. And the crowd, it was very noticeable that they weren't disappearing and they weren't changing into other people and stuff when I'd walk by them. And also, when I held my gun up to them, they would actually respond. And, I got some gameplay of that here. So they would pull out weapons or they would, they would just do different things that they didn't do before. They wouldn't really respond in this kind of way. They wouldn't all run away and stuff. And it was just nice to see. What are you feeling about this patch 1.5?
Well, listen, I'll say this. One of the things that we talked about in the green room is I'm experiencing Cyberpunk 2077 for the first time. I literally unsealed the game when the patch came out. At the time, I saw all of the reviews that were coming out for it, and that with every new patch that we're trying to get done, it was making the game worse. So I came to the realization that at that time, whatever I was playing, and I didn't even remember what I was playing at the time, took precedence over me wanting to play a game that was loaded with bugs. So I said, I'm an open world dude. I love the cyberpunk aesthetics. I knew I was going to like this game, but I wanted to experience it from the best way possible on the Series X. And that's what I've been doing. I put about just under 10 hours into it. I am absolutely loving it. I put out a tweet regarding it. I put took a screenshots. I put it out there, and I was just doing it to say, hey, listen, world, I can't believe what CD Projekt Red has done. This game's amazing, and it got almost 400 likes, which is very surprising because I'm only like you, Fonz, 8,000 people that follow us. And, for the most part, people, took, and most of the responses were people that don't follow me. I'm absolutely enthralled with the game. I'm mad that the patch came out right around the same time as Horizon because you can't play both. There's just no way to play both. I do 3 live shows. There's barely enough in the time in the day to play one game, let alone 2 massive ones. So at first I was going to hold off on Horizon. And then, listen, I'm such a big fan of what Sony does with their first party that I could not pass it up. So I'm at a part in Cyberpunk where I know where I have to go. So even if I'm away for a month or so, let's say, putting 50 hours into Horizon, I can come back to it and enjoy it just as much. But I'm absolutely loving it. And like Horizon, I'm completely shying away from the main story beats, going and finding all of these, just open up the map where there's something I want to go check out that's undiscovered. I go there first. Sometimes I kind of walk into things that are well over my level and I get slaughtered, but there are other times where I barely make it out of the fight, but man, I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I went here.
Yeah, and I'm having a good time. I had a good time with it with a little bit of play of this 1.5 patch. The footage you're seeing right now is very dark because I'm recording it off the DVR, and for some reason the Xbox DVR,
it's always dark. Pictures, everything. Yeah,
it's kind of broken right now, and I know they're working on it. Yeah, they're working on it, but it is what it is. This is all I could get, but I'd say it's okay footage to see, but it's not really representative of what you get. It's a brighter, more punchier image in real life, but. It is a good looking game, that's for sure. Cyberpunk, even back in when it dropped on the Series X, it was a very good looking game. We have higher resolutions here with 1.5, again with all the other improvements. There's no reason why I would even try to attempt to play the ray tracing mode because again, the ray tracing is only for shadows, and honestly, you don't really notice it. I tried it for a minute, but honestly, that 30 frames, I can't deal with it anymore in games, Boom.
No, I went like you. I went 60. I went 60
Yeah,
frames.
and you can't really tell anyway. The resolution difference is very minor, and the ray tracing is very, very minor. You have to search high and low at those shadows to even look for, to even notice. And I just don't. So unfortunately, they didn't use the ray trace reflections, and that probably would have put a bigger impact on this game, being that there's neon everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been a big thing. All that stuff could have been bouncing off the streets. But yeah, man, it's one of those things where, we got what we got from CD Projekt Red. I think they did better, but they should have done better from the start. They should have just delayed the game another year and not put it on the old hardware. That's what I would have done. But they had to do what they had to do, I guess. I got a couple of super chats here I want to get through. Splendiferous, thank you very much. He says, you guys say you're old. Oh, we already read that one. I've got one here from Dorian Childs. He says, are people mad that people are pointing out bugs? Yes, Dorian. Unfortunately,
Probably.
people do get mad at us for pointing out bugs. It happens. Honestly, it's always going to happen. Fanboys will get upset if you talk about their games or whatever. It's dumb. If somebody points out a bug to me, I'm actually one of those people who enjoys hearing about it. Not enjoys, but I want to hear about it, because if there's a problem, I want to know about it. And if I experience it, I could say, oh yeah, I know that's that's a problem and it should be addressed. That's all I'm saying. Jiu-Jitsu 50 says, just wanted to say hi to Boom and Fonz. Keep doing a great job in the great gaming community. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that.
Well, thanks for being here, Jiu-Jitsu. Definitely thank you. Thank you for the compliment. And of course, thank you for supporting Fonz. I love it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
supporting Fonz and Mr. Boomstick here. He may be coming over from your channel. I'm not sure. But anyways, it's good to see him. One last topic here that I want to discuss here was Ubisoft. So apparently it seems that Ubisoft, Boom, is, it could be up for grabs. I don't know. The CEO says that he entertains the idea of a sale of Ubisoft. Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot. I don't know how to say Guillermo.
Yeah, that's it. Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to say his name, guys. I butcher names like crazy here. Yes, I'm like Lord Addict in that respect, but I try. Guillermo. It's such a hard name. Anyways, he says that the studio, he believes, could remain independent if that were to happen. I have a quote here. It says, we are always making our decisions in the interest of our stakeholders, which are employees, players, and shareholders. Guillermo reportedly said during a recent earnings call, Ubisoft can remain independent. We have the talent, the industry scale, the large portfolio of popular IP, as you saw in the press release. Our IPs are sought after by the biggest global players in the entertainment and tech. Adding to that, if there were an offer to buy us, the board of directors would, of course, review it in the interest of all stakeholders. What say you, Boom? Who would benefit more, do you think, from purchase of Ubisoft? Would it be Xbox or would it be PlayStation?
I say neither. I think one of the things that was pointed out to me, Fonz, that I was totally unaware of, is the amount of employees that Ubisoft currently has around the world is over 20,000. And what's interesting on that factoid is if you take all of Xbox Game Studios, you take all of Bethesda Game Studios, and of course the Activision Blizzard studios that will eventually come over once this deal is done, that doesn't even come close to the amount of employees that the other entity has. And what you're dealing with when you talk about potentially adding 20,000 more employees to Microsoft, that's an incredible undertaking. And unfortunately, in a merger that big, there would be significant layoffs. and Microsoft doesn't want to do that. If you saw the deal with Bethesda, no one got laid off. They actually gave them more money to keep hiring, to keep funding these studios. Now, Activision Blizzard is a little different because of all the sexual misconduct stuff. So when that deal was announced, they already announced that the 50 plus people were given pink slips because they were somewhat involved. So they're going to continue to let people go based on the trouble that company currently has to try and get things right. And speaking of sexual misconduct allegations, Ubisoft right now is littered with those through multiple employees that came out and said, "Hey, listen, the work conditions are terrible. There's sexual misconduct going on." And Yves was aware of it, and he did nothing. So it's a bit of a poo storm, not to curse. And for Sony, I don't think they need them, to be honest with you. I think that I'm not saying that Sony can't afford them. I mean, we know that they have a significant amount of money to continue purchasing.
Yeah.
I think it would be too much of an undertaking. I see Sony getting a Square Enix. I see Sony doing a Bandai Namco. I'd even dare say I see Sony doing a Capcom. And I think that would be great for that for SIE. But Ubisoft, I got a feeling that's a business that could be bought up either by Apple or by Amazon. Both companies that want to get into the business and want to. I mean, if you think about it, Apple's working on a machine for home, right? We don't know what the machine is, but they're working on it. Amazon has their own machine, right? Their own digital box in Luna. So they would need some monster IPs and
therein lies the problem, right? I mean, here's the thing, and I look at it as a problem. Luna and Google and Stadia and all this stuff. I think Stadia, Google has this a history of like creating new products and stuff and kind of abandoning them. Just leaving them to die. And I think Stadia has one foot in the grave, especially when they shut down production of all their first-party IP, got rid of all their studio, and that is less of a concern than, say, Luna. I don't want to see a Ubisoft bought out by a streaming platform. I don't want this. I don't want to see anybody bought out by that. Any of these developers, because I feel like, I want to enjoy these games the way we've traditionally enjoyed these games.
Yes.
On a traditional console. And I'm nervous of these other players in the game flexing and spending that money. And it's inevitable. It's going to happen. Yep. And Ubisoft may be the ones. Who knows? I mean, now that they've put this out there, somebody's going to be looking at their budget and going, can we do it? I'm sure there's companies doing that. And for me, when I look at, say, Sony or Microsoft, I'm like, well, those are better alternatives. And that's just being selfish, okay? But that's how I look at it as a consumer and as a gamer. I'm like, I like the traditional console. So if one of you two were to buy Ubisoft, I'd be okay with it. But that's how I feel about the situation. Because I am nervous about a Luna making that purchase.
Yeah, we have to start talking about whether or not now is it Luna exclusive. Do they continue to put all of these IPs on Amazon Luna only? And I don't know, have you seen the Luna controller? It's garbage.
Yeah, but
bro.
No. I'm not saying that, but at the same time, how else are you going to get people over to Luna if you don't, make it exclusive? Right. And I think that's the issue. That's the same talk we're having with Call of Duty right now. A lot of people are saying how you get people over to Game Pass. The difference is price point.
Yes, 100%.
And that is going to be a key factor going forward. Even if Call of Duty remains multiplat, think about it. Do you want to spend $70 on another console for every game, or do you want to spend $10 a month and get hundreds of games plus that Call of Duty?
Yep.
That's the way I look at it, man. Consumer based. I'm not based in, fanboyism. I'm based in consumerism. What is better for my buck? That's how I look at things. So if you guys look at me and say, "Oh, that guy's a fanboy," no, I just look out for my wallet. That's it. That's
real
all I
life,
have.
folks. Kids have to go to school. Got to put dinner on the table. Got to pay the
You're
rent.
telling
You know,
me.
these things actually are real world problems, and the only one that seems to be, I don't want to say looking out for the gamer. I think the one place where you get your most bang for your buck is Xbox.
I would agree with that. That's not a fanboy statement at all. They have the best
that's a
value in
fact.
gaming right now. Game Pass is the best value in gaming. If you say otherwise, you're simply wrong. Simply wrong. Lord Roughness, thank you, brother, for the super chat. He says, "Don't you feel ray tracing has been a buzzword in this generation?" Yes. So many games look gorgeous and don't use it.
Yep.
Facts. I think that it is a buzzword right now. Now, on the PC side, I've seen ray tracing that is jaw-dropping, amazing, but I can't see all that tech being brought over because you're talking about 3090s and, you know, these graphics cards that are just so beyond
$2,000 graphic cards.
Yeah. But yeah, for the console space, I haven't seen ray tracing that really dropped my jaw. I haven't. I've seen stuff that looks cool. Spider-Man Miles Morales. Yeah, the ray tracing was cool in it, but I preferred using the 60 frames mode without the ray tracing to get a bump in resolution. I thought it was a better experience that way. But anyways, Lord Starkiller, thank you, brother. He says, getting ready for work. We'll catch up tomorrow. Thanks for the great show, Fonz, and great guests like Boom. Thank you very much, man. Thank you. So anyways, that is it. That's the end of the show, Boom. I want to thank everybody out there for coming out live to see this. I really appreciate you guys. Over 100 people watching this. And I'm really excited to see, all of you guys in the chat, but also all of you that listen after the fact as well. Because I get a lot of people that say, hey, I can't watch the live, but I do listen to you on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. Thank you very much for listening. I appreciate you all. Boom, let everybody know you are a fantastic guest today. I like to pick your brain and hear what you have to say. Again, it's always good to get with another older gamer and somebody who isn't just based in this fanboy nonsense all the time. Let everybody know out there where they can find you and all your videos and stuff. Where at?
Well, listen, the easiest place to find me on Twitter at Mr BoomstickXL. DM me and I'll talk to you. DM's open for everyone. I try to, when people follow me, I try to follow back. But because I have so many followers, I have to vet people. Because I want to make sure that who I'm following isn't going out there causing trouble for the community, because then what happens is I get roped into that nonsense and I'm too old for this shit. Pardon my French. So, and if you're a Lethal Weapon fan, Fonz, you know exactly
Danny
what that's
Glover.
all about.
Yes.
But of course, if you are experiencing my voice for the first time and you want to maybe check me out and see what I'm bringing to the table in regards to community content, go check out Double Barrel Gaming. We just hit 10K a couple of weeks ago. One of the biggest things for me in my YouTube career, I've only been doing it for 4 years, and to hit that mark and that soon is incredibly humbling.
Congrats.
Because,
yeah.
Oh, thank you, sir.
You smashed right through that 10K. Now you're at like 12K.
No, I'm at 10.2.
Oh, really?
I wish I was at 12. Yeah, I wish I was at 12.
Okay.
That'd be awesome.
I thought you were at 12.
No,
I looked
Iron
at something
Lords
different.
are closing in on 12, and well deserved, because they're amazing over there. But yeah, check out Double Barrel Gaming. I think you're gonna dig what we're putting down. All the panel members are well-keeled members of the community that have their own shows, that put out incredible content, and I think you're gonna like what we're putting down.
Yeah, no, you do have an incredible panel over there with all your shows, Pong Soul, Keasanti, all those folks over there. Amazing people. Check him out, folks. Double Barrel Gaming. Thank you very much, Boom. And thank you guys for listening live and after the fact on demand. I appreciate you all. Until next time, game on.